Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Game Vault podcast stream. I'm your host, Mark. We're back with the news hour here for technically May 10th is when we're recording, but May 11th is when you guys will all hear this if you're not watching live. Happy Mother's Day to any mothers listening to the podcast. Hope you had a great day out there with your family and enjoying some time. Just laying around on a Sunday, Yeah, say hi to your mother for me. Thank you guys for being here and listening to this podcast. We're almost halfway through May, which means that we're getting close to 007 First Light on the channel. I, for one, am getting excited. I don't know about everyone else out there, but it's getting close. I'm starting to see, things I'm ignoring so that I can go in a little fresh to the game. I hope you guys are excited about that playthrough here. But let's get into what I have been playing. Fair warning, you will probably hear a lot of these same things. I don't care about Bubsy. So you probably will hear me talk about some of these things on Podcast Prime, which we recorded on Friday. But I'll go through them again here for you guys because I have a little update on one game. So I have, I think I mentioned last week that I have beaten Pragmata. It's a really good game. I we'll talk about that at the end. We'll save up front. That's all I've played outside of streaming. So I'll leave that for the end since it'll be spoiler filled. Just update you on what we've been streaming here that I've been playing. We played A Link to the Past, both for Podcast Prime, and also I did a going through and getting the achievements, retro achievements on there. I may hold off on the rest of them until we get to Extra Life time, and I'll put it in there during Extra Life. That seems like a pretty interesting thing to have as one of the things we do is just get all the achievements. I don't think we'll get all of them, but we can do a good 6 to 8 hour or 4 to 8 hour or whatever segment of an Extra Life stream, getting as many as we can. I think the biggest thing is that there's going to be ones where it's don't get hit by the boss. I think I can no hit Ganon. But some of the other ones, I thought I no hit the first boss, but apparently I didn't get that achievement. So when we run it through the game a second time on stream, because we can't save and save and load, quick save and all that stuff. So, excuse me. We'll go and get that achievement. But yeah, I haven't played vanilla since I really got into randomizers. I played it once or twice. I think I completed it on the Switch when I first got the Switch. And then a time or two after that. So I am very excited to go through and try and get all these little things here. Most of them seem easy. Some of them are a little bit like I said, um, out there. There's one that I don't know how to get. I'll just look up how to get it. It's this special room that they put into the game because someone won a contest or something back in the day. I don't know the full story on it, but that's one of the achievements on there. So we'll have to look up how to do that, and that might be a specific thing that we aim for. Um, yeah, yeah. So that was fun. That was on Monday, and then Friday we played some Tomodachi Life, which is going to become. I'm putting it as a regular Friday thing. We'll play for an hour on Fridays, catch up with the island. I'm going to try and play in between sessions, you know, just so we can advance some things and I can update you on them. But yeah, we had a great time. I got to show off all the characters that I had made. We had some interesting situations arise. We basically got got Dan to be friends with Gerard Butler. And our goal is to make them roommates. We'll see if we can possibly do that. And I'm curious if we get anybody actually falls in love at any point. We have a couple people that have crushes on other people on the island, but nothing, crazy to where we're at the point of dating or marriage or anything like that. So, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah, the game is fun. It's one of those games that you don't have to sit and play for hours on end or anything. It's great for the Switch. Yeah, you can, if you have it handheld, you can just pop it out, do an hour and a half, put it back, and be done with it, and be good for a day or two. And the island just keeps doing things while you're not playing, so you get to catch up on things when you log back in. So that was a fun Friday night. Yeah, I used some chat suggestions to put Gerard Butler in a koala outfit, so he is in a koala suit right now. But yeah, that was a good Friday. Like I said, that's going to be probably like 8 p.m. on Fridays, before we do our Friday streams. And then, yeah, next Friday, it's like 90% sure we're going to play Mixtape. The problem with Mixtape is that if you watch the VODs on Twitch, you're probably not going to see it on there because there is no streamer mode. We got a story about that. And it's all licensed music from like the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. So, yeah, so we'll try YouTube. We'll see what YouTube does with it. We don't monetize on YouTube, so if it just says you're not going to make any money off this, and we were like, sure, whatever, as long as you don't block it. And yeah, we'll go from there. It's only like going to be like 2 streams to beat it or so. So we'll just go right through it. But we'll play that on Fridays. We'll do it on the 2 Fridays before we start 007 on the 29th, which is, I believe, that Friday after it comes out. So, yeah, that is what we're looking forward to. But the thing I got the furthest in and played the most this week that's new is we got a little bit further in Trails in the Sky 2nd chapter. We beat the 2nd of 5 towers that we have to go through, which I think is like 5 dungeons, and then we're going to have a final dungeon. And we're learning little small pieces about characters along the way. This one was all about Zin, and then we found out at the end that Kilika and the guy with the glasses, I forget his name, Walter, that you fight, all have some kind of connection. So we found that out in the story, and yeah, it looks like each thing is for a specific person. I forget if it was anybody who was specific to the first one. It might have been Chloe, but the funniest thing is that probably because of the time period the game was put out, they didn't like have any triggers. So the next one we're going to, Shira, is the mandatory person to come with you and Joshua. But I've taken Shira to the other 2. Zinfandel. I don't think so, unless that was revealed in the first chapter. Um, or if that is a very clever joke that is going over my head. Um, makes sense. It went over my head. Um, but yeah, yeah. So yeah. But anyway, I took Shira on the previous two missions. She gets on this one, and she makes no allusion to have been on the other two. It's like, I guess you have to take me this time. And I'm like, honey, you were with us in the last two towers. You've been through this. Um, but yeah, it looks like those three, if I keep Joshua, which is always up in the air with this game, will be probably in my party, and then I will figure out who the fourth one will be. But we are leveling up everybody near the 70s, so we should be good. These bosses aren't difficult. You just gotta, I even got the meta, the last boss. I had Zin only attack the Enforcer while everyone else took out the ads. It felt right doing that. But yeah. Yeah, so we're getting closer to the end of that game. All right. So these next two things are spoilers. I'm going to do the absolute cinema pose when I'm starting to talk about spoilers, and then I'll do it again once we're done. So we're going to talk about Pragmata, full spoilers, and then we'll talk about Mortal Kombat 2, the movie. So I can talk about these full. So you have your thing, and I will verbally say I'm putting my hands up. Just for the audio listeners. So yeah. So putting my hands up. All right, so Pragmata, I finished it, I believe, before the stream last week, or maybe after the show last week. The game is good. I give it, like I said, like an 8.5, 9 out of 10. I love the characters, the voice acting, and the battle system. I really, really love what they did there. I got very into it the further I got into the game and started getting into the flow and having a lot of fun with it. There was only a couple things at the end where there were like tight hallways and a lot of enemies, and you have to charge up like this beam to knock corruption off the enemies, or shockwave or something. And you're in a tight hallway and you're just constantly dodging while you're waiting for that to charge up, and you're shooting, and it's just a little too compact of a space, and the enemies are too big. But it only took like 2 or 3 times getting through there, and you kind of figure out what to do and what to prioritize. But yeah. Overall, boss battles were great. Final boss, I loved the moment in it. I think it's the third phase where it starts like stopping you from hacking, and you got to wait for it to do its thing, and you sort of follow behind it, or you speed ahead of it to try to be able to hack the final boss. So that all is great. I got down to a couple weapons, pulse rifle, and it's like a charge gun. That and the regular machine gun type thing. I was mainly using those, like building up heat, which makes them explode into so you can do your special final attack on them and all that. So I had a build going into it, but there's a lot of different builds you can do depending on your playstyle. I just love building up the heat so I could go in and do the finishers on people. So yeah, so that's all the normal stuff. That's all the great use of music in it, especially the end. So yeah, so story wise, so it's a very generic sci-fi bad corporation sort of anti-capitalist sort of ideal movie. If you've seen like Alien or something, like anything that's got a mean corporation in front of it, this one has with Delphi. It's the same thing. It even has a crazy scientist in it, which a lot of these games have. Well, he's not crazy. He's dedicated and smart, and then something happens. His daughter dies, and then he goes nuts a little bit, like through grief, not through going insane. So you find out through the course of the game that Diana, the Pragmatas, were created essentially to experiment on to help heal his daughter's sickness. And whatever happened with Diana, she wasn't enough, so he put her in storage and then built this new robot, which is called 8. It was the 8th one. Diana was 7. And they, that robot was there at the end. And in one of the things I saw coming, I didn't see the whole daughter death thing coming, which I should have. I'm mad at myself for not seeing that. But the other robot that's kind of like you turns out to be evil and is sending this thing called dead filament, which eats organic matter, wants to send it to Earth, which essentially would kill the Earth because it would eat all the plants, animals, and humans. And so you battle back, and you sort of, after getting attacked by her without knowing, you got to rush to heal Diana because she gets infected. But since she's not organic, you can sort of burn it off of her, and you're going through that whole sad moment of carrying her and doing all that. It's very much a dad game, like dad, daughter. She's you sort of build that relationship throughout the game, and then they telegraphed this too early, but the big spoiler is that at the end, Hugh, the character you play, does die at the end because he gets hit with the filament, and obviously it's going to start, killing him. And I wasn't expecting Capcom to pull the trigger on killing him. I thought they were going to have like a last minute thing where she would be like, "Hey, Hugh, I leveled up again, and now I can knock it out of organic matter, and you're healed, and we can go to Earth together." But they didn't do that. And what I liked about the way they did the ending was, at times you can be upset that he was like lying to her and being like, "Yeah, we're gonna go, we're gonna make it, it's gonna be us. We're gonna check out, we're gonna see the birds, we're gonna see, the ocean and all that stuff. We're gonna go do it." And then, obviously, we know he's lying. And then they do a very good show don't tell moment. So they get to the end and they get to a cargo ship, and you're thinking giant cargo ship where there's like a pilot and the cargo in the back, and you're like, all right, good. Maybe he will get there and die on Earth with her, sort of thing. Or whatever. They figure out something or whatever. But you get there, and it's this tiny little ship, and literally written on the ship is not for human use. Now, they didn't go into explanation in terms of why it's not for human use. Is it, does it not resist the heat to entry, or oxygen reasons, or, he could probably have squeezed in there if he threw out some of the cargo. So I don't think it was a size thing. Obviously Diana fits in there because she's like 6 years old. And then that moment is very sad. I came close to crying. I think it would hit parents that play this game more than it probably would hit me, even though, we all know the love I have for my nieces. But it's not the same. But it's that old adage that all parents say, and I know they believe 100%, is that they would die for their kids to survive. And that's essentially what Hugh does here. He pushes her off, takes out his battery, puts it in the storage thing so it can go, and, that's the end. And they show her showing up on a beach. Now, there are a couple things that, you're not going to 100% get all the answers to, but if you've been paying attention to the game, you have questions at the end. You're like, I'm assuming she landed on a solitary island, and not going to interact with humans because that would be weird. And also, there's anti-android laws in the world, so she would be killed on sight. Um, and also, she said a whole thing about she's barefoot in the game because when she walks around in the cradle, which is where your home base is, um, that's how she charges her battery, and it lasts a really long time. Now, they never say how long. Obviously, they don't want to put a time on it. But now you're sitting there going, is she just going to die on that island? Because she can't charge her battery, or is her battery solar? Can the sun charge it too? But they don't explain any of that. But if you were paying attention, you kind of had those questions as well. So yeah, story, like I said, story's probably like a 7, 6.5 out of 10. The voice acting between Hugh and Diana, 9 out of 10. Oh, I didn't get to that. Yeah, obviously. Fun thing. I almost forgot. I changed her outfit because I really did not like the hair tech that they had going on for Diana. With it being all wild and all over the place and whatever it was doing. That I put her in this, like, thing that gave her, like, she was, like, sort of supposed to be like a mechanic. So it's like her hair is tied up because she's fixing things, and she's got a little goggles on the top of her head, and it made it look much better because all the hairs going around on the original design was freaking me out. But the fun thing is, by watching other people stream it, is whatever outfit you have on, she has this thing at the end where she's walking on the beach, and depending on the outfit you have on, my outfit had boots. So her footprints are the boots that I had her wearing. If you leave her in a regular costume, it is bare feet. And then there's a cat costume where it looks like cat claws in the sand. So I was like, that is a level of detail that they did not need to put in this game. They could have just, done the no cutscenes in the alternate costumes and didn't have to do all that extra work. But they did all that extra work, and I commend them for it, because it wasn't until I watched other streamers where like, oh, it does depend on what you have on, what those footprints are. But yeah. So, like I was saying, story, 7 out of 10. It gets the points across. It had sort of some, like, it's just a misunderstanding between the robot and the scientist, why the robot goes evil. He doesn't want revenge in the form of killing everybody on Earth. He just wants revenge on Delphi, and she misinterprets that as killing everyone. So that's a little, like, weak in the translation there, like how they showed how that happens. But yeah, the voice acting itself, Hugh and Diana, are fantastic, and it makes you care about both characters. He's a little bit of a goof. Sometimes a little bit too, I'm like, okay, you. Nah. But Diana, just, whatever this voice actor did, because it wasn't a child voice actress. I think she is a real actress. No, I shouldn't say real, but like a film actress as well, and does a really good job of making you believe the wonder and just thirst for knowledge that Diana has, and all the cute little things, like all the little arguments that kids have. Like there's one moment, like she rides on your back most of the game, so in one of the final scenes you're walking towards the final cutscene, and he goes, oh, when we get down to Earth, you'll have to walk for yourself down there. And she goes, I can walk. And she jumps off and walks a little bit and goes, see, I'm walking. And then he goes, well, you're going to be begging to jump back up on my back soon enough. She goes, no, I won't. And she goes running off. And I'm like, oh, that's like, I'm doing it really badly, but just the way she portrayed it. I'm like, yeah, I've seen kids do that. Like, oh, you tell me I can't do something, I can do it. And then, just go off and do it. And they did a really good job. Like, she didn't get annoying as the game went along, at least for me. You could, and even my favorite part is that the barks that she has while you're fighting are useful. Like, you're concentrating on doing the thing on the right where you're hacking. And if she goes, jump, Hugh, you're like, oh shit, and you jump and just avoid an attack, or dodge, Hugh, and it keeps you like engaged if you're a little too focused on one thing, like a little much, if you get too much tunnel vision. So, and especially if there's multiple enemies in the room, she helps a lot in those fights, and doesn't become annoying. It's actually very, very helpful. So, like I said, I'm probably going to settle on an 8.5 for it, because I think the gunplay, the battle system are top notch for me. Might not be for everyone. I had a great time with it. I thought it was very inventive and, different. I think the voice acting for everyone is great. Even the guys are going to die at the beginning of the mission, giving them all distinct personalities was very well done. The only thing that's lacking a little bit is that the story is very generic, a little too generic. But sometimes if you have great voice acting and you have great character work, you can overcome a generic plot, and that's what they do for the most part here. I just wish there was better motivation for the final villain, than what they had. So I'm just glad. Two things I'm glad. One, that they didn't kill Diana. That would have been terrible. And two, that they didn't have a redemption arc for the evil robot. That would have been bad. That wouldn't have fit the story. So yeah. There's a whole after credits thing that you can do, and there's a secret ending, which is literally just one line from Cabin, which is this sort of thing that you use to upgrade the base and upgrade yourself and stuff like that in the thing, where he goes, "Oh, you're back. Oh, and you're alone," and it's supposed to it's supposed to insinuate that Hugh got back to the cradle. It's not worth as much time unless if you really love the game, the time is worth it. But if you're just like, oh, I'm going to do all this extra content just to get the secret ending, it's not worth it. Not worth it just for the ending. If you want to get a platinum or all the achievements, if you're on Xbox and Steam, or if you want to, if you just love the combat, go ahead and do it. But if you're just doing it for the secret ending, don't do it. It's not worth it. Go YouTube it. It's literally one line on a black screen. And a photo, like a really cute photo. But it's not worth all that gameplay if you don't like the combat or you don't like any of that other stuff. It's not worth it. But yeah, really good game. Probably going to end up in my top 5 unless if there's a whole lot of games this year, which looking like there might be. But yeah, I'm glad I played it. Spur of the moment to just go purchase it when I saw that sale from Wario64. And yeah. So, on non-video game related reviews and spoilers, I did see Mortal Kombat 2 in theaters. The way I'll start it out, just non-spoilers off the bat, just to do the normal review you would do. There's a lot more action, a lot more fight scenes in this movie. There is less plot in this movie. Less characters just talking to each other. And the character designs are great. I thought, they took all the criticisms from the first movie and improved on them here. Took some wrong ideas from what people were saying in the first movie too, but we got to a good place. So as I've been saying, right before getting into the spoiler part, it is a 6 out of 10 movie. 10 out of 10 Mortal Kombat movie. I don't know if you can make a better Mortal Kombat movie. It had all the locations, all the characters you want to see on screen. It had brutal deaths. It had great, like I said, great settings and locations. It went everywhere. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you saw most of your locations from Mortal Kombat 2. Some from other games as well, but I saw like the best fight in the movie, which is Liu Kang and Kung Lao, where zombie Kung Lao, in the one arena that's like the void with the portal in it. That's where they fight. That looks great. You go down to Netherrealm. That looks good. The only thing that still bothers me in terms of design. is I don't like the Sub-Zero Scorpion designs. There's not enough of their signature colors in it. Everyone else has their signature colors in it, even if it's a little muted, with Katana and Jade with the blue and green. They are wearing blue and green, and it's a little like not eye-popping blue. So yeah, it's yeah, I completely understand that, Night Duck. It could also be we got into it because it was like I was like 10 when the first movie, like 8, 9, or 10 when the first one came out. It was like the taboo thing. Ooh, the game with blood, and you try to figure it all out, and that's sort of how I got sucked into the lore. But yeah, I haven't really played much of the games after 3, so but most of the lore that people know and talk about and write movies about is the first couple games anyway. Yeah, so that was the only thing, is that the only thing they keep missing on is Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I don't know why. They're the two most iconic things. Like, just put them in yellow and green. Yellow and blue, I mean. Just do it. I mean, they had Noob Saibot in this, which was like a second character coming off of, I think it's Noob Saibot. Dan could correct me. But that having that fight, Kano again. The problem with Kano, I love a lot of the things he says. He's pretty much a breath of fresh air because he's the only one not 100% serious all the time. But the one thing they do in this movie, which is a little bit of a detriment, is that they he says a bunch of shit and throws it at the wall, and hopes that at least one of them makes you laugh, which they do. They do some good ones. But anyway, so it's got all the characters. It's got Katana. It's got Jade. It's got Liu Kang, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Jax. Who else from Outworld? Quan Chi, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn. I think Cyrax is there. I think. But yeah, it's got everybody that you would sort of know from the games. And Sub-Zero and Scorpion show up as well, or Bihan. So, and a bunch of them just fight. It tells the story of, Katana turning on Shao Kahn, because he killed her father, and then she becomes queen of her little realm after they defeat Outworld. That's the main plot of the movie, is just taking out Shao Kahn, and yeah. Yeah, the best thing they do in the movie, and this is the big spoiler that everybody is getting mad about on the internet. So they introduced, in 2021, they introduced a character, Cole Young, who's like a descendant of Scorpion, has a suit that, they explained it more in this movie. He absorbs energy, and the more energy he absorbs, the stronger he is. It's an okay idea for a power, but, he's the only one not really, he's a new character. So, within his first fight, he fights Shao Kahn after Shao Kahn's already become invincible, or immortal, not invincible, immortal, because of a medallion thing. Don't have to go deep into the lore. So he thinks he kills him because he does the thing where he slices his neck open, and then he turns around and watches it heal up, and basically goes, "What the fuck?" And then he gets a couple more fights, and then he slams, and then they unceremoniously mallet head Gallagher. Just smash. Cole Young head all over the floor. And they fight in the pit with the acid all around, if you remember that, if you played Mortal Kombat. The funny thing is, they have Quan Chi in this, who's a necromancer, and all throughout they're bringing people back from the dead. Kung Lao comes back from the dead as zombie evil Kung Lao. They bring Kano back from the dead just to bring Kano back, apparently. And so just to make sure that you, the audience member, don't think, hey, they can just bring Cole Young back from the dead. They have the sorcerer there. They can force him to do it. Xiao Zhang, smash head like watermelon, like Gallagher, smash. And then he takes the hammer and pushes the body into the acid pit. So, bye-bye, Cole Young. Thanks for playing. Be the next Scorpion in the third one. If he comes out in yellow and is old Scorpion, I thumbs up. That's all I'm waiting for. So the final things to talk about, really, because there's not much of a plot. Jax dies as well, just since we're in spoilers. Which I think happens in the game. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. But there's a lot of great death scenes. The final death scene where Katana kills Shao Kahn, she like stabs him after he's not immortal anymore. Stabs him in the side of the head with the fan blades, and then turns them on, and they spin, and it's sort of like cuts layers, and the head slowly separates into layers. Tom, you would hate this. Separate into layers and just fall to the ground. It's a really cool death scene. There's a lot more gore in this one than the last one, but we got going in for MK. So Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. They play a like old washed up Johnny Cage, like he was an action star in the 90s, sort of thing. Carl Urban charisma, great. Fighting, not so great. I feel like they could have found somebody slightly younger that could have done charisma and and the fighting and the choreographed fighting. I know they wouldn't do this kind of casting because they wanted like a name like Carl Urban to give it a little bit of legitimacy. But I felt the whole time that somebody like The Miz from WWE would have been perfect for Johnny Cage. He's used to doing the choreographed fighting because Johnny doesn't really do much of his martial arts stuff here. He's got charisma even in the terrible movies he's been in. He's the right age, around 40, mid-40s, for you to do an older Johnny Cage. He would have been good in this. But not that Carl Urban's great. I just wish that there was someone else slightly younger with a little more fighting acumen to them. But yeah, he doesn't hurt the movie at all. Like I said, it's a 6 out of 10 movie. If you're going in expecting this to be Citizen Kane or Casablanca or some other movie that's always mentioned as like top movies of all time, it's not that. But it is, in my opinion, the best Mortal Kombat movie. Just for the sheer fact that it's got decent acting, it's got great visuals, it's got great locations, it's got a great cameo from Ed Boon. You're saying it's no Heathers. 100% correct, no Heathers. Can't. I honestly can't wait to watch that again. I don't know if that Patreon episode has gone up yet. I think that episode went up where we're going to be watching it for the Patreon over on TC Tam. But yeah, the whole thing is you can now go into a Mortal Kombat 3 and just paper thin plot. It's okay, Lulu. Paper thin plot. But just had the fights. It finally had the tournament, which the first movie did not. An odd tournament with weird rules, where apparently you're allowed to switch sides even after everybody else has lost on one side. I guess that's fine. The Elder Gods allowed it. But yeah, the crazy part is that the best fight scene is still Scorpion and Sub-Zero's actors fighting. Like, they're ridiculously good at the martial arts stuff, even at a more advanced age than some of the younger actors in the movie. And it's just so much oozing aura and charisma off them when they're fighting each other. And especially when it's a 2-on-1. But yeah, it's worth seeing if you love Mortal Kombat. Um, you can wait for it on streaming. I saw it with Movie Pass, so I didn't pay for my ticket. I technically pay $10 a month, but I get to see other movies um, with it. And yeah. So that's my review. So hands going up. All right. So yeah, those were the two spoiler things that I want to talk about because I weren't going to be able to do spoiler casts with anyone in the near future, and I just need to get my thoughts out there. Now we will move on to the news. And first off, speaking of games from movies, Nintendo Switch 2 Star Fox game is a remake of Star Fox 64. In a surprise Nintendo Direct streamed on Wednesday, Star Fox creator Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo producer, I believe that's Yoshiaki Koizumi, tongue-tied, introduced the new game, which revealed a remake of Star Fox 64 for the Nintendo 64. We'll pause there on the story. As Night Duck, as Metal Militia mentions above, I will bring the thing up so you guys can see, since it's blending into the background right now. Star Fox 64, which is also a remake of the Super Nintendo game. They also remade Star Fox 64, Star Fox Zero. So this is the third remake of the Super Nintendo game. So it looks great. It doesn't look like they went to the well too much. It looks amazing in terms of the graphics when you're just playing the game. The one fun thing is if you watch anybody watch, the announcement, everyone immediately has a reaction, whether they verbalize it or not, when they show Fox for the first time and show how fuzzy he is. As you can see if you're watching the video version here. He does not look like the cartoon version from the movie or any cartoon version you've seen. He looks as close to a real fox as you can. The only one that looks good is what's his name? I'm going to look through this. I had this blank too last night. The bunny one. He looks good. Tom's probably let me know while I'm clicked off the chat here. I had the same fourth remake, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's the fourth make of that first game. Falco looks good. I think the hair guy here, he looks good. But yeah. So it's pretty funny. Watch some reaction videos. They made me laugh. So Star Fox is a cinematic take on the Star Fox 64 game, featuring newly overhauled character designs, freshly revamped look for each stage, plus detailed characters, cutscenes, fully voiced dialogue, and a sweeping orchestral soundtrack. Nintendo said in an announcement. In terms of what the new content for the Switch 2 version introduced, the Switch 2 version introduces a prologue mission featuring Fox's father, new cinematic cutscenes that allow players to discover more about the Star Fox team, a challenge mode, and a suite of multiplayer scenarios. So the only other thing to talk about here is that they introduced James McCloud, and he looks like the coolest dude on the planet. I would want to hang out and play a full game with James McCloud. It just makes you... It just blatantly shows how uncool most of Fox's dialogue is. And I feel like that's going to be the best part, voice acting wise, of the game. But yeah, so as me and Tom, we'll dive a little bit deeper into that in there. But this is going to sell relatively well. Only if they were allowed to make a different Star Fox game. Should have just made a whole game about James McCloud. That would have sold too. Mainly for the point that we made is that it's going to be one of the only exclusive good games for Nintendo Switch 2, featuring a Nintendo, created character. You have Donkey Kong, you have this. Metroid came and went. You might get the Ocarina of Time remaster. You might get something Mario soon, but you're not. This is the newest thing you're going to get, so it's going to sell well for all those people that bought Switch 2s. Moving on. Speaking of Switch 2s, Nintendo confirms Switch 2 price raises, console now $500 in the U.S. From September 1st, the price of a Switch 2 console in the U.S. will increase $50 to $499.99. In Europe, Switch 2 hardware increased by €30 to $499.99. And in Canada, it increased by $50 to $679.99. In light of changes in market conditions and after considering the global business outlook, Nintendo will revise the manufacturer's suggested retail price of the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch systems. We sincerely apologize for the impact these price revisions may have on our customers and other stakeholders, and we deeply appreciate your understanding. In Japan, the price revisions will take effect on May 25th, with all of Nintendo's hardware increasing around 10,000 yen. The Japanese-only region lock Switch 2 will increase by 59,980 yen. Switch OLED, 47,980. Switch Lite to 29,980. And the standard Switch to 43,980. Nintendo is also increasing the price of Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions in Japan to match other regions, it says. Price revisions for Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch will be implemented in other regions with announcements due from the company's subsidiaries. So this is just the world we live in. All of these because of, prices of, whether it's tariffs or the price of the materials in it going up because of AI farms. It's just sucks. I probably won't be getting a Switch 2 anytime soon. I probably would have to save up for it in a lot longer than I had to save up for other systems in the past. I probably should have done that at the beginning, not looking back on it, but who knew that everything was going to blow up this big from the beginning. But so if you're looking to get a Switch 2, it's just going to be a little more expensive. If you're looking to get a Switch and you're going this route, I would recommend trying to find them on the secondary market. There might be some used ones that you can probably find for less than what they're selling here. So, and this is on the heels of PlayStation and Microsoft both increasing their prices. So, home console gaming getting expensive. Next up, speaking of Sony lays out its AI plan for PlayStation. We believe AI will unleash the creativity of studios. During Sony's presentation for its latest financial results, Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Hideki Nishino explained how he believes AI will strengthen the company's efforts in game creation. At PlayStation, our goal is always to be the best place to play and the best place to publish, Nishino said. We see AI as a powerful tool to help us in that mission. For our players, this will mean a gaming experience like never before, more immersion, more adventures, and fresh ways to enjoy their favorite characters. For our publishers, this will mean an even more efficient production environment and a better discovery to ensure their games reach the right audiences. According to Nishino, AI will lower the barrier to creation and accelerate development cycles, enabling more creators to enter the market. As a result, Sony expects a meaningful increase in volume and diversity of content available to players. Nishino stated that PlayStation Studios teams are already using AI tools for automating certain processes. Within our studios, game developers are automating repetitive workloads, improving software engineering productivity, and accelerating areas like quality assurance, 3D modeling, and animations through new AI-powered tools, he explained. He continued, he explains the Mockingbird, which is not important. He continued, we've already seen teams at Naughty Dog, San Diego Studios, and other adapt our tools, including release titles like Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Another example is that the tool we built for animating hair This is often a labor-intensive process given the volume of strands that must be created. Our teams have accelerated this process by taking videos of real hairstyles and having an AI tool output a 3D model with hundreds of strands models. So, essentially, the funny thing about this, Night Duck puts it perfectly. The funny part about all of this going on is that Microsoft and Xbox is the one that has a CEO who has background in AI, and Sony is the one diving headfirst into AI for its gaming. I think I pulled the story that Microsoft is sort of backing off AI. I don't know if I pulled it or not, but there's a story that Asher Sharma is backing off using AI. Like, they were going to put Copilot onto consoles, and they have decided not to do that now. So it is funny that Microsoft and Xbox has a person with experience in the field going, no, we should be backing off. We don't be doing this. And Sony's like, fuck you, fucking using AI, and you're going to use it in everything, and we're going to have really shitty slop games come out because, quantity over quality, guys. That's what the Sony promise is essentially what all of that said there. So, let's see if... yeah, but the difference is, if we're doing the PR marketing, it's like Sony is diving headfirst on the PR market, public. We're going AI, but it's all backing off. And it's just funny that they're one, maybe she's smarter because she knows how to sell the AI so that it doesn't seem, and maybe confuse an idiot like me, that they're not as deep into it. But yeah, this is just, just saying, hey, wait until, 2 years from now when we're going, why isn't anybody buying our stuff? Why aren't these games selling? We put so much AI into these games. Why aren't people buying them? But yeah, like we said in the past, AI has a space to be good in the sense that, if they want to use an AI system to take notes at a meeting or at a planning thing so you can remember everything that was verbalized, so you don't have to trust somebody to take notes in the meeting, stuff like that. That's perfect use of AI. But what they're talking about here, for the most part, which lowering the barrier to entry, just makes me cringe. Games are going to get shittier and shittier, but we're just going to love the 1 or 2 games that come out that are fantastic. All right. I only pulled this next story because the headline is fucking bonkers. And it's a little discussion I want to have about the game itself that it's talking about. But I'm just going to read you the headline. And then we'll discuss. Rockstar should raise GTA 6 price for good of the entire industry, says Bank of America. What the fuck is Bank of America giving an opinion on this? That was almost, when I was reading through that headline the first time, that was like, I don't know if you've seen this thing that's been passed around the internet where you will never guess who is singing the national anthem at this Braves game. And then it goes through and it's like a minute of the singing and then it cuts to Ronald McDonald. The end of this headline was almost the equivalent of that. I'm like, oh, who is saying this? Bank of America? Yeah, it's just wild. Yeah, I'll just read a little bit of the story here. As blockbuster video games continue to become more expensive to make, security stock analyst Omar Dazuki, I'll say that, argues that selling the much-anticipated GTA sequel for the now standard $70 price point could negatively impact other games looking to raise their own prices to become more sustainable. As pointed out in a note published by Bank of America around the recent Lysone event in Las Vegas. Take-Two executives did not endorse an $80 price tag, but noted that considering inflation, the price of video games has fallen over time. So essentially, it's just the whole thing. Yeah, fuck this guy. GTA could end up being the only game to, you know, post it at $80 and not get an argument from the majority of gamers. It will still sell whether it's 70 or 80. Yep, and Night Duck makes the second point I was going to make. Essentially, games like GTA don't care about the sustainability. They if they did, they would figure out a way to, as Night Duck says here, keep teams small, keep teams around, and keep their games reasonably scoped and not try to be like 60 to 70 hour, open world things. That's how you do sustainability. Doing all this open world, stuff, at least in my opinion, is, and then churning over the staff is why sequels don't get as good, because it's why some of these studios that just keep the same developers on for the most part, a lot of their sequels kick ass. Because they know the material, they're good with the assets, you don't have to relearn people, you don't have to reteach people things and stuff like that. But yeah, essentially, GTA is going to sell no matter what they put it at. $100 might be pushing it, but there are going to be people that are going to buy the special edition at $100, $150, $200. No doubt about that. But Rockstar and Take-Two could care less about raising the price for this to keep the industry sustained. It's just the rest of the games that are not GTA or not these ones that can take, that are going to sell like gangbusters and, make their money back hand over fist over time, have to start realizing that it's okay to make a game that falls somewhere between 10 and 30 hours. You don't need a game that's 60, 70 hours or open world live service that never has an ending. You can make a Pragmata, 13, 14 hours, sold 2 million copies for Capcom. New IP from Capcom. Perfect length. Maybe it's just me getting older where that length of games is becoming important. Like, gone are the days. Only one game will I, really care, and be okay with it being over 100 hours, and that would be Persona 6. But every other game should be able to stay. My 10 to 30 hour length. Yeah. Yeah, that's where games need to stay. Even the old RPGs that you think are like these long epics. If Madam Wish is still here, I think we were in the mid 30s for Final Fantasy VI, and that was only because we grind it for 2 episodes. And I think 7 is like somewhere in that ballpark as well. I think 8 is also around there. If you just do most of just the regular stuff. Like, it's only been in recent years that these games have been ridiculously long and grandiose and now need to possibly raise their prices to sustain it. But yeah, they just gotta understand that longer doesn't mean better, and the gamers that complain about spending $70 and a game's only 15 hours need to grow up a bit, to be completely honest. Length of game does not mean quality of game, essentially. So that's the only reason why I pulled this, is just to have that mini discussion there. So next up, this was a fun thing to talk about. Fallout's co-creator says some players are told by influencers what to think rather than forming their own opinions. This is Tim Kaine, not the politician. Um, in a video on his personal YouTube channel, Kane was asked by a subscriber to give his views on how the advent of social media and game streaming changed game design. Kane responded by suggesting that some developers started designing their games with streaming and social media clips in mind, believing that spectacular set pieces were more likely to be shared online and drive interest in the game. Many designers like myself, we frequently thought, well, how is a certain event in the game going to look like when someone's playing it live or recording themselves? That's a weird sentence. Playing it to put up as a stream. Kane explained, we thought about the cinematics, we thought about end bosses, we thought about unusual weapons you could get, and because of that, we wanted it to look really good on video. And that was the reason particle effects became a big thing, because you didn't just want to go boom, you wanted a big explosion, you wanted it to be pretty and colorful and all these things, especially in a clip, because people will see that on some channel where somebody's talking about the game, that they see the clip and now they really want to play the game. And he goes on and says that, you know, most people, and I agree from this respect, is that there is a section of the gamer base that will form an opinion on a game without even playing it, and will never change their opinion even after playing it. I think it is a lost art, and why some professional reviewers are still necessary in this influencer streamer market. Because, you know, if somebody's sponsored by somebody to play their game, like they're given the key by somebody, and you always take their opinion with a grain of salt unless that they have the history of being truthful. And it's just tough out there for, I would say, the younger generation and all, for, you know, trying to weed through all that to figure out, you know, what game to get with the very little money they have. As, you know, we have disposable income. I can go take a chance on a $20 game like Mixtape that's getting some great reviews and some mixed reviews. No pun intended. And, you know, form my own opinion on it. I worry about the whole forming an opinion and never changing it. I point personally, and I don't know if anybody else has anything else out there. Please let us know in the chat here if you're here, or if you sign up to go through TC Tam's Discord. It's $1, patreon.com/TCTam pod. And you can talk video games with us over there. I had an opinion about Final Fantasy VIII that I always said was, it's the worst. Yeah. And, it was the worst, and, you know, no chance at it. And then I played it like a second and third time, and, you know, maybe not all the way through both times. I was like, you know what? I was a little too hard on this game, and I, you know, came around on it and changed my opinion on it. It's not probably in the top half of Final Fantasy games I've beaten, but it's not at the very bottom like I used to joke, even on things we've recorded here. That's the only thing I worry about. I 100% agree with the Night Duck saying some people just experience the games of watching other people play. You know, and I'm worried about the other side where people do use them to decide whether to play a game or not. And using a streamer is not a great resource for that. Unless if you it comes down to you have to understand, you know, if you can let me know that you've seen this gamer do sponsored streams and they've, you know, been a good opinion of it, then, you know, and you make your decision off base whether they like it or not, then fine, that's cool. We want to do that. I just don't like the idea of watching somebody play, say, a quick look on Giant Bomb, and whatever they say is what you decide, not what you take from the video. That's the thing. A little media literacy maybe is the thing. is just being influenced a little too much. I mean, they are influencers. But, yeah, just the idea of, if something looks cool to you, give it a shot. There's the old joke about, I forget which game publisher it was. It was like, this game magazine gave it a 7 out of 10. Oh, it's going to be the greatest game I ever played. That's just my thing. I know streamers. There's a bunch of games that I'll never play that I just watch a streamer play all the way through. That's fine. And I don't have an opinion on those games because I haven't played it. I haven't touched it. But I did enjoy the experience of going through it with the streamer, and I would recommend, that streamer to people who want to do that stuff. It's just when you form your entire gaming opinion, you go on message boards and argue about games that you haven't played, and you're just using things you heard the streamer say when you watch them play. That's where I just get worried about it. I've never really given an opinion, and maybe it's just a me thing. I've never given an opinion really, like hard opinion on anything I've never touched. Either movie, music, video game, book. If I've never physically had an interaction with it myself, not through somebody else doing it, I won't have a hard opinion on it. I can say things didn't look great to me, and that's why I didn't play it, and criticize the trailer or what I've seen from a streamer playing it. But yeah, that's all I really pulled this, is that this has been around for a while with the influencers and stuff. It's just you worry that, some games don't get given a chance. Or I'm not saying that from a game, but a lot, what's it called? A lot of times you may love a game that somebody else thinks is a 7 or 6 out of 10. I love Pragmata. I think it's a great game. I put it at 8.5, 9. I've seen 2 people in Kind of Funny give it a 5.5. And if I would have been at whatever scores they give or the games I play, if they have to give it this certain score, then I will play it. Rather than taking the footage you see and make a decision for yourself or playing the demo. Maybe I'm thinking too idealistic or whatever. But, yeah, maybe it's coming from the idea of just, we read magazines and websites and didn't have video influence into stuff. We would watch trailers, watch E3 press conferences, and make decisions that way. But, when a person's talking about something for hours, sometimes it does influence your decision whether you're going to understand it or not. But anyway, it's my thoughts on that. As I always say, I could be completely wrong, but and I'm okay with that. Next up, a game we would be streaming. Mixtape Studio says that game has no streamer mode because its licensed music is its soul. A number of modern games feature a streamer mode in their settings, which removes licensed music or replaces it with a streaming-approved music, so that players can stream it live on sites like Twitch without being flagged for audio copyright infringement. Mixtape, however, doesn't have a streamer mode, which may concern some streamers, given the game's full soundtrack is full of licensed music from the 80s and 90s. The game's developer, Beethoven and Dinosaur, has now posted a statement on X via publisher Annapurna Interactive, explaining why there's no streamer mode. According to the studio, the licensed music is so integral to the game that removing it or replacing it with other tracks would compromise the heart of the story it's trying to tell. We got a few questions about why Mixtape has no streamer mode. The studio said, it's a fair question. Mixtape is about music, it's about Devo, it's about the Smashing Pumpkins and Lush and Alice Coltrane. It's about how you feel when you listen to Iggy Pop. The characters talk about the songs, the levels are designed around the songs. We couldn't change the songs. We couldn't replace them. We just couldn't. If you want to stream Mixtape and cannot because of this, we are truly sorry. But as David Gray says in Shine, your soul is the one thing you can't compromise. And music is the soul of Mixtape. Yeah, I get 100% where he's coming from with this. And I do I do applaud him for standing up for, what he feels is integral to the game, and not um, you know making sure it can be streamed, and just trusting that what they put out there in previews and trailers and stuff like that will get people to buy the game or try it on Game Pass. The only real thing that kind of made me, sort of wince at it is it it, it does sound slightly pretentious, um, but I understand where he's coming from. So it doesn't seem mean to me, but you know, when you use, that the music is the soul of a game, it just, that the wording just seems a little bit pretentious. But at least he's, just not giving in, to it, and we'll see if it works. This will be one of the tests that, whether games need really streaming. These smaller, games that aren't AAA, that don't have big names and all behind it, don't need the little kick in the ass that sometimes streaming gets them. Hi-Fi Rush is an example of that. They use the streamer mode. We used the streamer mode for it. And, that got that game critical and audience approval, because people started trying it word of mouth, because of that. But, so this is another one of those things to watch, these case studies of, maybe a game not catering so much to whether a game can be streamed. I feel like his argument fits in a game like Mixtape, where the game is about music and the music in the game, and it needs to be a specific thing, because they mention the songs that you hear in the dialogue, and it would make no sense if they say the thing and you don't hear the thing. But if big games like a Call of Duty doesn't allow you to have, take out the licensed music, or, any games like that where the music is just a soundtrack and not like integral to the game, then that would become part of a problem. But yeah, so we are going to most likely play Mixtape on Friday. Like I said, I'm going to delete the VODs right after I download the video. So if you're going to watch it on Twitch, you're going to have to be there live. It's going to be 9 p.m. We're going to do Tomodachi before, so it gives you time to sort of filter in while we play Tomodachi, and then we'll go through and we'll play the game, and then I'll put it up on YouTube and see what happens. But yeah, there will definitely not be any VOD on Twitch. We don't need to get the MC8. All right, moving on. Real quick, Resident Evil Requiem gets a free fast-paced bonus mode, Leon Must Die Forever, and they dropped it, like sort of shadow dropped it. It is unlocked by completing the initial story. It's sort of a roguelite where you gather points, and it's I'm trying to think of the closest game I can think to it. Did they mention games in here to the story? It's not 100% like it's. I'm not gonna go pick it up like I did the what's it called? Hey, Goat, welcome. It's not like the God of War one where you kind of got the level up Kratos and to go back in. All your level ups come while you're in the game. There is a game that's very much like this that I can't think of. But yeah, it's a roguelite game like that where, you only power up within the game. There's no power up outside of the run itself. So yeah, have fun. Leon's action scenes were the best action things. It's just a roguelike. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you're thinking of... True. Yeah, there's actually a more recent game that did it. But yeah, if you want to go try it, it's free. If you have the game already, and you beat it, you'll be able to go through it. So try it out. All right, next up. I only pulled this because I bring it up every once in a while that I completely forgot that I bought Civilization 7. We got it wrong with Civilization 7, says Boss, after major update announced. Although Civilization 7 appeared to chart strongly in the US following its release in February 2025. Oh, it's been out over a year. Take-Two said the game got off to a slow start and engagement currently lags well beyond previous versions. As a man that has played 1,000 hours combined between 5 and 6, that is 100% true. And despite most favorable reviews from critics, the game has a mixed rating on Steam and an unfavorable user score on Metacritic, likely due to its controversial system that requires players to switch civilizations during matches. Yeah, that's the one part I did not like about the game. Speaking the game file, Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick said that the game's struggles were on him. Every time there's a new Civ, the team at Firaxis thinks about, how do we push the envelope far enough that it makes sense to buy this new game? And how do we preserve what people love enough so that they're not disaffected? And we got it wrong with Civ 7, but it wasn't for want of trying. And again, I take responsibility for it. He had it. So we made a bunch of fixes. We'll continue to make fixes. The game is a really good game, and it's certainly a profitable enterprise for us. But this one where I think we tried to do was a bridge too far from the consumer perspective. Notably, Firaxis announced a new update today that will remove the controversial civilian swapping. Ooh, maybe I'll check in. Allowing players to stick with just one for an entire match, as in previous games. And then there's on May 19th coming up, there's a whole new update DLC to it. So that's why they're announcing this now, to get people to jump back in. So I'm probably, now they got rid of that controversial thing, I may jump back in to see if it's something I will play on my off time here. I got so many games that I sort of pop in and out on my off time, now my main thing is I got to start slowly sliding away from sports games, because they really add no upgrade value and stuff. Like, I can play them a lot, but I should not be over almost 150 hours into a college football game. I can very much use that other time to play other games, maybe playing a little bit more of Sonic Cross World or Hades 2 or, stuff like that. So maybe Civ will make its way back into that. American Truck Simulator, just games like that. I was thinking about that this weekend. So this comes at right at the time when I'm prioritizing what my non-stream games will be like. All right. Final two things here. Amazon Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, remember they do have free games for May, includes the Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. So your free PC games available now, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, Fruit Bus, Survival Fountain of Youth on May 14th, 60 Minutes to Extinction Escape Room, and Lethal Honor Order of the Eclipse. Those all are out on May 14th. May 21st, Space Grunts, Palindrome Syndrome Escape Room, Hot Brass. And on May 28th, Nordic Storm Solitaire, Moon Mystery, and Pro Basketball Manager 26. Players can still claim April's free games, including Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep and XCOM Enemy Unknown Complete Pack. So if you have Prime, these things pop up every month, and it's usually one or two great games in there. Not great games, but like substantial games on there, and then a bunch of other stuff that maybe you can try out for free on there. So if you have Prime, feel free to go check it out. It's worth it. If you're using Prime for shipping and Prime Video and all that, this is a nice little benefit to have if you're a PC gamer. I forget to check it every so often, But yeah, it's something you're already paying for. Might as well try and get use from it, and just keep adding to that backlog as you do. And our final story, kind of a sad one, but Nintendo's Takashi Tezuka, director of classic Mario and Zelda games, is retiring. In a note published alongside its latest financial results, Nintendo confirmed that Tezuka will retire from his role as executive officer on June 26, 2026. Tezuka is one of the most experienced game designers at Nintendo, having directed classic games such as The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario World, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and Yoshi's Island. Most recently, Tezuka was the producer of Super Mario Brother Wonders. At 65, Tezuka is at Nintendo's typical retirement age, though his longtime collaborator, Shigeru Miyamoto, who is 73, remains active at the company as executive fellow. Nintendo has seen a number of prominent creators leave the company in the past few years, though some have retired rather than find work elsewhere. Tezuka, who is part of two of my probably favorite games of all time, even though I don't talk about the second one as much. A Link to the Past, obviously, we know that as my favorite game of all time. But I am a huge Super Mario World fan, despite not being great at platformers. I really, really, really love that game. And I don't talk about it as much because it's not a genre that is in my wheelhouse. So maybe we'll play through it one day on stream. Have me go through the whole game. Because I've only beaten it once back in the day as a kid who had all the time in the world to just keep pushing through his lack of platforming ability. But yeah, so salute to you, Tezuka-san, and hopefully you enjoy your retirement. That will do it for the podcast. Thank you all for joining me. There's a longer one today because we had those two spoilers at the beginning for Mortal Kombat 2 and Pragmata. So, be sure to, if you skip over those, come back once you have beaten the game or have seen the movie. But in terms of our streaming this week, so tonight we'll be streaming. Tonight will be my stream. It's the next Monday that we'll do the Podcast Prime game. So tonight, I will be starting my playing the top 50 SNES games of all times according to Nintendo Life. Tonight will be UN Squadron, a side-scrolling bullet hell game. So we'll start in there. Just to go over the rules again, no sports games that have seasons or anything. Games like NBA Jam and stuff are fine. And golf, if there's a golf game, then I will play one round of golf in that game. And the other rule is no game that How Long to Beat says is more than 8 hours. I do not want to do more than 10 episodes of a game. So if the normal How Long to Beat is 8 hours, cool, we're good. If it's longer than that, then, we'll skip it. This is just to get rid of a bunch of the 30, 40 hour, 20, 30, 40 hour RPGs. That would take us way too long to finish this thing. And also some of the tactics games and stuff that are on there as well. But we will play fighting games. Maybe one or two episodes, see if I can get through a story mode or a couple story modes or something. And go from there. So that'll be starting on Monday. Then Thursday, we have some more Final Fantasy X. I think we're on our way to Luca for some Blitzball on Thursday. And Friday will be Tomodachi Life at 8 p.m., which we're going to be doing every Friday starting at 8 p.m. from here on out. And then following at 9 will be Mixtape. Saturday will be continuing the end game of Trails in the Sky second chapter. And then Sunday, we'll be right back here with the News Hour. The only big update to streaming is that on May 29th, we will be starting 007 First Light. And if you don't remember from last year, when we play through a new game on the channel, I will stream it at anytime. Like, we're going to do initial stream Friday night, 9 p.m. after Tomodachi Life. But I may start streaming it at like noon on Saturday, noon on Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights. You know, just when I want to play it, we will stream for a few hours or more. And some of those streams can be anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, as we saw with Death Stranding 2. You know, we will just go from there with 007. So, yeah, and there's going to be a couple other games that'll be getting that treatment. Mixtape won't get that treatment. We'll do that. We can do that in 2 Fridays to be able to play 2.5 hours and get through that whole thing in 2 weeks. And that would essentially bring us up to, yeah, because it would be, what, the 15th and 22nd, yeah. And then the next week would be 007. It would get us right to that. So second week, we will, you know, basically go into the end of Mixtape. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into playing a new game in full on the channel here. And then I got to start picking out ones later in the year to play through as well. So, yeah. Thank you all for joining me. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you watch the video or whatever you can do. 5-star rating wherever you listen to the audio podcast. And as I mentioned, if you want to have discussion with us over on a Discord channel, go to patreon.com/TCTAMpod, POD. And for $1 a month, join the Discord there for They Called This a Movie, which is the movie podcast I am on. We have a video game channel there, which is, you know, live with a lot of discussion going back and forth. And then if you also like music, movies, TV, there's channels there for you as well to have those discussions. It's a be-all, end-all of all kinds of entertainment, worth the $1 a month, and you get to interact with us, and sort of there'll be polls in there for games and stuff like that as we go. So, yeah, be sure to join us there. I hope to see you guys over there. And once again, thank you, Night Duck. Thank you, Metal Militia. Thank you, Goat, for being here. And we'll see you tonight for UN Squadron. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.